I am live in Cartersville, Georgia. God's country is what they call it. Great to have you with us today. We're at the Spring Hill Suites. No, the Hilton Garden Inn. Sorry about that, Hilton. Doing a fine job here. Great to be with you. I'm your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. We're on day 3 of our 12-day tour of Georgia, 12 cities in 12 days. Tomorrow we'll be in Atlanta for the Rogue hearing put on by Senator Gooch, orchestrated by Senator Beach from nowhere, comes out and gets this done and is making quite the name for himself. And so we got that going on. We'll be covering that. Then on Friday we'll be in Locust Grove. I have no idea where that is. I got to find it on a map.
Henry County.
Henry County. Bert Jones told me go to Locust Grove. That's also where Mark Burkholder, former speaker, told me to go. So when Bert Jones and Burkholder told me to go to Locust Grove, I'll go to Locust Grove. I'll be there on Friday. Then Saturday, of course, Valdosta for the President. Monday and Tuesday we'll be in Athens. That's where the state senators and representatives are for some retreat. And there's going to be a lot of fireworks going on there. Now, it's good to have everybody with us today. Phone lines open 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Sidney Powell is supposed to be calling in. When she calls in, we'll go right to her. In the meantime, your calls, 888-480-JOHN. With us is Senator Bruce Thompson, Republican from the area. Heather Mullins is with us from GeorgiaStarNews.com, works for me there. And also, Heather is with, like me, Real America's Voice. Did I get it right? They changed the name.
Spot on.
The name just changed.
Okay, it's going to be a household network.
It was America's Voice News for 2. They've been a sponsor of mine for 2 years. I've been on their show, so I say it like 1,000 times.
But Dr. Gina came in and had all these great ideas, and now we're Real America's Voice. So
Real America's
everyone
Voice.
Saw her show last night. You did a great job on it, John.
Thank you on her inaugural show. Dr. Gina, prime time, fantastic. And Real America's Voice, Heather Mullins. Also with us is State House Republican Representative Matthew Gambill is with us. Matthew, great to have you with us.
John, thank you for being here today. It's an honor to be with you.
In Cartersville, and also popping in off the street from Cobb County, one of our listeners. So we got a fan here that comes live, is David from Cobb. David, thanks for popping in.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we got a great panel, plus your calls, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-JOHN. Look, everybody knows what the issues are, but before I get to the phone calls, let's just get to Matthew. So Matthew, special session has to be called by the governor, refuses to call one. Group of senators have demanded it, led by, again, Senator Beach, who all of a sudden is all over this stuff. But your speaker, David Ralston, says no. Governor says, no need, nothing to see here. Jan Jones, your speaker pro tem, Republican Milton, had her on my show from Atlanta 2 weeks ago. She really started this firestorm by saying, no need for a special session, waste of time, isn't going to do anything, can't change anything. We just need to get on to our regular session in January and solve it there. Reaction to that, Representative Gambill.
Well, and that has come to me a lot since the election. I've received over 3,000 emails, and that doesn't include social media and phone calls and texts. And there's a lot of people that are very upset about the allegations that we're hearing, some of the things that we've seen. Yesterday I had a voter here in Cartersville send me a picture of a postcard that he had received from the New Georgia Project at his house for his deceased mother-in-law who had been dead for 4 years. It was there was handwritten note on it, and it was sent from the state of New York. So I think everyone is very concerned where the focus is the most, from what I'm getting, on the absentee ballot process. And the call for the special session, it takes 108 votes for the members of the House to petition for a special session. We only have 105 votes. And I think that the reason you're seeing, pushback on having a special session is because we go into session on January the 11th as already annually planned. It's the second Monday in January every year when we start. And this election is on January the 5th.
Right.
And there are those that feel like anything that we do right now would be it would not affect the election that we're literally in the middle of right now.
So you don't want to do anything?
I'm not saying that I don't want to do anything. I'm just saying that I don't think we have the votes to petition for a special session. And
Why doesn't your speaker demand it?
Well, I can't speak for him.
Why doesn't your speaker pro tem demand it? Why doesn't your governor demand it? Why doesn't Cosmo Man demand it?
I have no idea.
What's his name? Duncan? Cosmo Man? That's my nickname for him. Hashtag Cosmo Man. He loves running the CNN and being on TV with his, $5,000 Armani suit, but he can't stand up for the voters. Interesting leadership you have here. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Let's get to line one. Nancy in Atlanta, Georgia. Nancy, you're live.
Hey, great. Good morning, John. Thanks for being there. Thank you, Representative Gambill. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to let you know how we feel and ask some questions.
Sure.
I just wanted to start with, I, along with many friends, are very disillusioned. We're very sad that you're not fighting for this presidential election and for our vote and at least letting Georgia citizens be heard that feel like there was fraud going on. I feel like the Georgia GOP has lost the Senate for the country. I think you guys just made a choice. You made a choice to listen to your lawyers and your consultants. And, you hear, I have 3,000 emails. I had to take 70 phone calls yesterday. Well, guess what? We're the silent majority, and we're upset, and we're not going to be unsilent anymore. And I would suggest that you start listening to us and not these consultants who say, we can't get involved because there's an election in January. We don't even want to hear about January. I want to know, are you going to be at the Stop the Steal rally today? Are you going to be fighting for my vote that I feel like was stolen? So with that, I will also ask you, how do you think you're going to win these Senate votes when you don't even have Trump on the ticket? People don't show up in midterms, is my understanding, like they do when there's a presidential election, especially somebody as popular as Trump. So that really worries me with all the actions and inaction and telling us what you can't do instead of taking action about what you can do. How are we going to win these Senate seats? Mm-hmm. My second question is, have you seen the Dominion contract that the supposedly our state signed with this company Dominion? I think it should be public. I think we should be able to read the contract. I think you should dig into it for us and be our representative. And I'd also like to know what kind of legal fees are being paid to support Dominion to say that they have proprietary software that we're not allowed to look at. Whose legal fees are paying for that? So if you would answer my questions, I'd be very grateful.
Nancy, thank you. Who wants to start? Representative Gambill?
I can say that.
Go ahead.
A judge actually ordered that the Georgia Secretary of State and the governor make that Dominion contract public. So that should be available to everybody.
Okay.
But has not yet.
It has not. I have a 112-page document reported to be this contract. I can share it with you, but I haven't confirmed its authenticity, but I have gotten a hold of that.
So Representative Gambill, you want to respond to Nancy?
Sure, Nancy, and I know there was a lot in that those questions. So I'm going to try as best I can to address some of the concerns. Look, I take it very seriously, and I have about 55,000 people that live right here in Bartow County that I represent, and I don't take that lightly. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I understand what's going on and that the questions that you are asking that people want to know that I've received over and over again, that those get answered. As far as, my consultants and my lawyers, we're a citizen legislature. I'm just I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a leader in this community, and I'm a state representative. I do it part-time, and that's something that we hear often is that this is definitely not a part-time job, even though we are a citizen legislature. But that is why I'm on the show today, is to hear and fully understand the concerns that are out there. I'm aware of the rally today in the Atlanta area. I'm very curious to hear about what comes from that and the evidence that they present. And I want to just give the voters here in Bartow County, the people that actually elect me, the assurance that I am doing everything in my power to be a student of this process to make sure I fully understand. Kind of like with COVID, we suddenly had to really understand pandemics and how some of this stuff works, and I've learned a lot through that process. I'm learning a lot through this process to fully understand how and what has transpired and what we've got to do to fix this. So,
why won't your leadership demand a special session in order to get to the bottom of this and bring attention to these 950,000 mail-in ballots that Sydney that Stacey Abrams sent out again? What are they afraid of?
I don't know what they would be afraid of. I would have no problem being one of those 108 members to vote and petition to have a special session to look into any and everything that we can. And on Thursday, there's going to be Senate hearings at the state capitol that's just like what was done in Arizona on Monday. That is going to happen. I would be one of those 108 votes to vote for a special session, but we don't have the 108, and I think our leadership is just looking sheerly at the numbers. That would take 3 Democrats that would have to come over and vote to petition for a special
That's not
session.
gonna
And and those 3 Democrats are very happy with the outcome of the election.
Yeah, but I think the frustration. I mean, you can have a special session if your governor got out of the basement and just called it today. He could do it at noon. Special session Wednesday after your meeting in Athens, or he could do that. He refuses to do it. So that's a lot of the frustration. Nancy, thank you. You want to comment on that, Senator Thompson?
I do, and I've taken a different approach than Matthew. Matthew is the kind individual in our county, and I don't mind swinging back at some people. The reality of it is we're not sitting right now where we are in our United States because of just your elected officials. If each and every single individual reach out to me, and Matthew, I wish I only got 3,000, because yesterday I got 14,000 emails. Is each and every person to get up off their butt and quit hiding behind a freaking computer, go out and influence their neighbors, influence other people about what was really happening, we wouldn't be sitting here. Now, you have a different show. Yes, I have to do my part for my $15,000 that I get as a state senator while I donate to our tax base so that you can give away free phones and everything else and unemployment. But the reality is, each individual that calls in here, you got a responsibility too, and I'm curious, what are they doing?
All right. Thank you, Senator. Let's get to line 1. Barry in Weir's Cave, Virginia. Barry, you're live.
Hey, John. Good morning. Keep plugging, man.
Thank you.
I got a question, and I want to make sure I understood something yesterday that was said on your program by the senator yesterday, and I can't remember his name. Excuse me for that.
Chuck Payne.
Chuck Payne. He said, talking about this dissent decree that was signed by the state's attorney and the Democratic Party there in Georgia, one of the things he made very clear, and make sure, John, I don't misunderstand this, that none of the Georgia voting laws could be changed under that dissent decree. Am I correct in that statement?
Yes, he said that.
Okay.
In fact, what Senator Payne said is that, as far as he was concerned, the consent decree was perfectly legal. All it did was reaffirm what Georgia law was, and he said that Raffensperger was certainly within his rights to sign it, and it was fine. That's what Chuck Payne said. Right.
That's the way I understood it. So if that's the case, the big problem, in my eyes, and what I've been hearing here in Georgia, is that there's no accountability and there's no verification of signatures in the absentee and mail-in balloting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But Georgia law requires, and correct me if I'm wrong, requires that there be verification of the signatures on the ballots with the envelopes, and that's the problem we're having in Georgia.
I'll turn that over to Senator Thompson. Senator Bruce Thompson, true or false?
Yeah, that's my understanding
Thank you,
as well. But you can even go further than that. The reality of it is you can go on the Secretary of State's website right now and register as a voter in our state, right? And when you go through that process, it's asking for, say, a driver's license. You can bypass that, okay? So you obviously federal laws, maybe you got DUI, don't have ID or whatever. Then you can turn around because of the environment we're in right now and request a mail-in ballot by mail without verification. Okay, so yeah, I've joked about this before. My wife signs most of the checks and signs my name. 24 years later, I try and sign my name to a check, and the bank goes, hey, your signature doesn't match. Okay. We laugh about that, but the truth of the matter is, hey, we're matching signatures, but that doesn't do what it's supposed to, and that is, let's identify them as a legal voter in our state that's casting a ballot.
So why don't you go through the audit then? Why don't you audit the envelopes?
That's a good question. Why don't we?
Well, and that's what I've called for. I've sent a letter to the Secretary of State's office requesting that. Our Speaker has requested that. That's a part of what we've got to dive into.
Can you guys recall? Can you start a recall petition? I mean, Purdue and Loeffler demanded he resign, said he was incompetent, right? They sent a terse email. not exactly Kelly Loeffler style to ask for people to resign, right? Nice lady, not her style. Either is produced. They sent a letter out asking him to resign. Said he was incompetent. I mean, that's how this whole thing started. So, all right, Barry, thank you. Let's get to Jimmy in Wabash, Indiana. Jimmy, a Colts fan. Jimmy, I'm so sorry that my Tennessee Titans absolutely annihilated the Colts on Sunday. I mean, that was such a spanking. I mean, we had 250 yards on the ground in the first half. I mean, we pushed you guys all over the field. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I don't want to talk about football this week.
Okay.
Hey, man, how's it going? Love the show.
Good.
Hey,
thank you.
Hey, one of your guests a little bit ago, I haven't been able to hear for the last 10 minutes if it was addressed or not, but he said that the presidential race wouldn't be overturned and more or less that the Senate candidates should focus on January 5th. I wanted to know, does he think that there was fraud on November 3rd?
The answer is yes, and it's Senator Bruce Thompson. Do I think there's fraud? I know there's fraud. So anyone that is part of our leadership that goes out there on TV or radio or anywhere else and says there's not fraud, I guess they've got to redefine what fraud is. I have seen personally in my hand, not hearsay, ballots that were cast, right, mail-in ballot, that the individual put down an address that has never lived there. I think that's fraud. Now, is it widespread? I don't know the answer to that, but there is fraud. My problem is this. If we do not focus on these 2 U.S. Senate seats and make sure maybe we get Trump overturned and we lose the Senate, how is that going to really change things other than the fact of I want my president to be able to be elected?
Maybe you don't even need runoffs. You go back and check November 3rd, maybe you don't even need runoffs. Maybe you only need one.
I can't bank on I'm sorry, and I'll banter back. I can't bank on maybes.
Bank on it. Yeah, but if there's fraud and you believe there is, you got to stand up now because you're going to lose January 2. They're going to steal it again, man. It's going to happen.
I don't disagree. I mean, anybody knows me. I am a scrapper. I'm a fighter. But the reality is I'm not going to grandstand out on the radio and so on. I'm fighting tooth and nail behind. I'm not a guy that's going to come. I came on this radio show because I respect John and he's in our area. But the reality is you don't get anything done just by standing out in the street and getting printed in the newspaper. You get things done behind closed doors where you're fighting and pushing hard. That's why I'm challenging each and every person out there that feels like there was fraud. What are you personally doing other than just sending me an email? Hey, man, anybody knows, you can send me an email, but I am not going to spend 24 hours a day responding to your email. I'm going to be out there trying to get something done to fix.
All right, let's get to, thank you, Jimmy. Let's get to line 2, Pat in Florida. Pat, you're live. Go ahead,
Hello?
Pat.
Hi.
Yes, Pat, you're live.
Hi. I've been on hold, and it's been silent. So is the senator still with you?
Yes, Senator Thompson's with us.
Yes. Okay. I just want to say, Senator Thompson, I've been listening to you, and I've been listening to a lot of rules and laws and procedures and wonkiness. And the people of Georgia deserve more. And I also want to say that every time you talk about having to go to the mattresses for the 2 senators running in Georgia, that's like fingernails on a blackboard to all of your constituents. Because they want to know, is Dominion going to be calculating the ballots? Are the same people that were counting the ballots the last time, are they going to be counting them again? Are they going to be scaring anybody from any of the GOP who are supposed to look at the ballots? How are they going to even get GOP people to come in to the counting rooms because they're afraid for their lives? You have your head in the sand. Why would they come out? You keep saying because they have to, but why should they? And you have to think about why you ran. Who are you representing? You ran to represent these people. And what it sounds like you're doing is just chalking it up and saying, I don't think he has a chance, but we'll do better next time. And I have to tell you, I hope there's somebody in your district that's listening who will primary you in the future. And then, you know what they'll do? They'll lose because you have Dominion voting machines. And then your district will have a Democrat. And I'm sorry that I sound so frustrated and rude, but I promise you, more people in your district feel like me than they feel like you. And I just want to say,
All right.
John, you're doing a great job. And I want to say that I had so much to say I could be your co-host today. But I'll leave it at that.
I'd like a chance to
Well,
respond.
Pat, stay on the line for a second. I'm going to give both a chance to respond, but stay on the line after you're done so that Kara can get your name and number. So when I come to Florida, you can co-host with me. But if I don't have your name, I can't do that because it sounds like you do have a lot to say. And thank you for that. All right, let's get Pat. Thank you. Stay on the line. Kara will get your info. Go ahead, Representative Matthew Gambill.
This is the same, frustration that I've had myself individually, and then that I've heard constantly since the election outcome or perceived outcome in November. I don't have my head buried in the sand, and for the people that know me here in this community that have elected me, and I'm not a career politician. I've been in office for one term. During that first term, we passed a historic heartbeat bill the first year, and then this second year of this term, we had COVID, and now we've had this elections crisis, and so I again am doing everything in my power to look into everything that's going on. This has literally been a day-to-day, hour-by-hour situation that has information is continually coming out, and I think that there's going to be more information that we get from this press conference and rally today that Sydney has called that will help us continue to get the information that we need to move forward and take whatever appropriate actions that we have to take to ensure that anything that has been alleged is dealt with. And I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at, Bruce. I mean, you can speak for yourself.
Thanks, Matthew. And you know what? I appreciate that lady's passion. If there was a whole lot more people that are Republican that were passionate, again, we wouldn't find where we're at. I will disagree, and that's, I think everyone that knows me knows that's how I am. I'll call out fact. I'll call out truth when I see it. She is fundamentally incorrect. It's her passion and emotion coming through. I enjoy that. I think it actually makes for a better constituent base and a better Republican Party. But the fact of the matter is, go look at election law. I cannot change it alone, right? A lot of what's going on and who views these ballot counting is done at a local level. You voted, well, she didn't, but you voted for a Secretary of State. I didn't appoint him. I didn't grant his powers to him. I have a responsibility for roughly 174,000 individuals in my district, one of the most conservative districts, John, in the state. And I'm not bragging, it's just a fact of the matter. If I was doing such a poor job, I wouldn't have won 70% of that, which was a bigger increase than before. Can we do better? Of course we can, but not sitting here doing infighting. We look like the Falcons on the football field, and that's why they got the record we got.
I definitely think there should be a little more pressure put on like the county commissioners because they're the ones who appoint people to the election board. Like Floyd County, for example, had the 3,060 something votes that went uncounted that the hand count found, right? Two guys scanning them in. One was the Dominion rep, which I get her concern, the caller saying, why are these Dominion reps handling our ballots in the first place? I mean, should that be a conflict of interest sort of thing? Like we're having these outsiders come in.
No,
I
think everything you're saying is true, but when you start getting down to the county level, I mean, it starts at the top. It starts with Governor Kemp, who's done nothing. He's hiding in the basement. I don't care. Look, Trump backed him. I was for him. Okay, I'm 100% Donald Trump from January of 2015. Everybody knows that. He's hiding in the basement. Cosmo Man runs to MSNBC so he can have his $5,000 suit there and his hairdo. Why doesn't he call for these county commissioners to step up? Pat, thank you. Let's get to Anita in East Dublin, Georgia. Anita, you're live.
Hey, I'm just calling because I didn't really like, and the other lady before me was pretty good. And I don't like that all these Republicans are rolling over and playing dead. You know, we have had this problem. I am not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat, but I am a Trump supporter. And for somebody to say that this election is over, that is so wrong. So wrong.
Hey, John, I didn't say it was over. I said we need to be focused on these U.S. Senate seats. And anyone that understands strategy, whether it be election or business, better understand we can sit here and continue to focus on trying to vet out these mail-in ballots with all of our, there's only so much energy from the legal teams and resources there, and lose these U.S. Senate seats and then turn around and fight to be able to have our presidents continue in the White House. I'm not giving up on that. Anybody that has misinterpreted that or misheard that, you need to understand. I am a strong
I'm telling you right
supporter
now,
of Donald Trump.
My vote, I believe, has not been counted. So why should I even try to vote for a senator? Why?
Well, I would say that, we know a lot more now than we did prior to November 3rd. So there are going to be a lot more eyes on the process. So you should still campaign for your candidate in the Senate races as if you're one vote behind, because that could end up making the difference. So there's a lot more eyes on the process, even on a local level now, than there was prior to November 3rd.
Well, I'm out. I wear my Trump stuff out. I talk to everybody I see, through a mask if they've got it on. But this is just unreal. Georgia has a big problem. And if you think people are going to come out in droves and vote for the senatorial race, you're mistaken. You're very mistaken.
All right, Anita, thank you. I mean, that's been a common theme, guys. And I mean, the sense is, and you can get mad, but these are the people you're counting on to vote. You can yell at them and say, don't send an email or call into a radio show. But I've gotten this for 3 weeks. People in Georgia are upset. They don't feel you're fighting for their vote. Here's a second caller I've had today who said, I don't think my vote got counted. I have no verification of it. I mean, you guys have to deal with this. All right, let's get to Adrian in Richmond. Adrian, you're live, line 1.
Hey, John, good morning. Senator, good morning, folks. Panel, good morning to all of you. I want to apologize first, Senator, because I'm going to be harsh on you. I know you're taking a lot of blows and you're in the corner right now. Okay. I'm going to do my best to be respectful and appreciate what you're doing for us here. I'm going to ask you some rapid questions because yesterday we had a lot of double talk with the senators that were on there. No disrespect to them. I think one of them was pretty brave and answered questions directly, like you are. I think you're genuine. So my first question to you is, what is the GOP doing there in Georgia to counteract? I have 4 or 5 questions, but counteract Stacey Abrams 1 million. Let's just call it a million votes. What exactly is in plan right now to counter that?
Well, when you say the GOP, are you talking about David Schaefer, or are you talking about us as House and Senate, or are you talking about our governor and our Secretary of State? Because GOP is just a term, right?
And if you don't know, that's fine. I appreciate you being honest. But I guess my question is are you aware of anything that you guys are doing from the top down in Georgia? Are you guys doing anything that you're aware of to counter those million votes?
Yes.
What?
And what?
So I know of at least 2 lawsuits right now that have been filed that we're working in concert, because I'm involved in this with the White House. I can't get into the details of it, but personally I know because I have been involved in that. So what beyond that, I don't know all the things, 'cause I'm not privy to that because I'm not in a leadership role. But me personally, yes. I have a background in software, and so we're looking into Dominion, and we are pushing very hard. I made it very public. I asked 2 weeks ago for a forensic audit, and I'd not want, when you do a forensic audit, as you all know, you don't do a forensic audit with the individuals that are already working within the system. An outside forensic audit that's going to be certified has to be people that are outside of that.
Let me ask you this. So Georgia taxpayer money was spent by Brad Raffensperger and Adrian. Thank you. I got so many people on hold. I'm gonna have to roll. Thank you, Adrian. So Raffensperger spent money fighting to protect Dominion's proprietary software rights. Spent the people's money in opposition to the people that want to be sure that their vote didn't get changed with Dominion machines, and he tried to get them wiped clean. So back to Ann in Dublin. Ann is like, okay, but I mean, you're spending my money defending Dominion, who might have stolen my vote, and the guy that's defending them is now the guy that's still running the election, and you want me to come out again and give my time and money. I mean, that do you guys understand the frustration that somebody has? Why would Raffensperger be spending our money, your money, to defend a software company and say it all should get wiped clean? Why?
John, respectfully, I hear the frustration, but people need to understand it's the same frustration that Matthew and I have as voters that live here as well. The difference is for us, yes, I understand we're in roles, we're elected, and then people want to say, what are you doing? You can't always say the things you're doing. What I just said was one thing tangibly that I called for and I'm working on, I have a background in software. The Dominion system, you can call it proprietary all you freaking want. The reality of it is, if you understand, we have cyber attacks every single day, millions of them. Is it easy to access what's going on? Yes, because the chain of custody was broken. Yes. That's baseline. Now, why do you need to get out and vote, like Heather said? Because we can't give up. It's a dual threat right now. We got to fight for Trump. We got to fight for everyone's vote to be legitimized, right? But at the same time, we can't take out our frustration by not voting for these U.S. Senate seats, or it's game over.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And, you know, my grandfather was from the greatest generation. There is nothing that will ever keep me from going and voting in an election, even in the middle of this crisis that we're in right now. That's why we're on this show today. And the ones, quite frankly, that we're so concerned about, I don't think, has Brad Raffensperger offered to come on the show or any of the.
No, they won't return my calls.
But I'm here today.
They can't wait till I get out of town.
That's because I care, and I'm trying to do what I can to find out what's going on and call for whatever has to be done to fix this. I want to also say another thing that I'm very concerned about. Let's say we throw Dominion out today. And all of a sudden we go back to ES&S, the previous vendor that operated our election system since 2000. Is there any assurance that any electronic voting machine is secure? And are we getting to a point where people are going to say, let's go back to paper ballots and pencils? Because I can assure you of this. The most rampant abuse and cheating that has ever occurred in any election is with paper and pencil, folks. And that's why we've got to do our due diligence to figure out what in God's name has gone on with these machines. So, I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Matthew, honestly, the fact that we have electronic voting right now, right? If we would follow the process, I mean, Heather, you've talked about what happened in Floyd County. We have 7 or 8 different counties. They never followed the process. Okay. Somewhere in there we can cast the blame on local officials, but where does the Secretary of State weigh in on and saying, it is my job, it's one of his 4 pillars, to make sure the election process goes well, that steps in and says, we're going to do this, we're going to protect the chain of custody. When someone walks in and votes, yes, we're going to audit to make sure. Maybe the Dominion machines never once were ever breached, but no one can assure me of that. It takes one long file change, but yet we're going to wipe them clean. Why do we wipe them clean? I don't know the answer to that. The question came up earlier, John, but I can tell you this. When you do wipe them clean, how do you then see the log files to see who accessed them at what time?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense why you wouldn't do that.
That's why so many people are just upset when your Secretary of State wants to wipe these clean and then won't let the signatures be checked on the envelopes and then is fighting with your taxpayer money to protect Dominion over the people. That's the frustration. All right, thank you. Let's get to Amy in Atlanta on line 2. Amy in Atlanta, you're live.
Hello?
Amy, you're live. Would you turn your radio down?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon. John, thank you so much for coming to Georgia and doing this. As a lifelong Georgia voter and member of the military, it's just great to hear that you're doing what really others should be doing in Georgia. And it's really, I have to agree with the individual from Dalton, that lady that called in. We're not, we Georgia voters, legal voters, we are not showing up for January the 5th. We do not want to have a discussion about January the 5th. We want to see Georgia Republicans, whether they're in the local Senate or the House, we want to hear from them. We want to see what you guys are doing. And I did hear one of the senators mention that this election was already over with. I did hear him say that. And it's not. The people that support Trump, we the people, are going to be fighting tooth and nail to see that he raises his right hand in the inauguration in January. And we will primary anyone else who doesn't get on board with that. So we're not showing up for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. We don't want to hear any more emails or see any more texts or have any more phone calls from them about us giving money to them. We need to see what they're going to do. They need to be focused on Trump first and then we'll show up on January the 5th.
Well, when I was at the rally in, Heather, I think you were there, the rally in Canton, with the vice president. One thing that was interesting is in the middle of the rally, there was a chant that got started, which was "Stop the Steal." And it was started 2 times. When David Perdue was speaking, he smiled, wouldn't deal with it, waited until it ended, and then went on with his stump speech. When Pence was speaking and the Stop the Steal chant started, Pence said, "Thank you, we're going to count every legal vote, and we're going to throw out every illegal vote, and we're not going to quit until January 20th. Pence said that. Perdue didn't. That's the problem. Perdue sat there, nice guy, CEO, makes millions of dollars. I'm for that. I'm an entrepreneur, right? Ran companies, goes around in his jacket. Great guy. Perdue's been on my show. I love the guy to death. He's a great guy. But he sat there and waited until it was over and then went out with his stump speech. The vice president did the exact opposite. That's, I think, what people are frustrated with.
I think in his defense,
Amy, is that fair?
Yes, sir. And I'm going to tell you, President Mike Pence can show up tomorrow. Donald Trump can show up on Saturday. We are not showing up on January the 5th. There is a movement going. We're not. I can promise you.
I don't understand why you wouldn't, though. If the president, who you say you support and you believe in wholeheartedly, is coming out here to Georgia and telling you support these Senate candidates, why wouldn't you?
We do. Well, you heard him on the phone the other day saying that he was ashamed that he had supported Brian Kemp, because I'm going to say this. I certainly do not believe that Kelly Loeffler is the one who should be running. I believe that it is Doug Collins, and I believe that the Senate race was stolen from him just as much as it was Donald Trump.
But would you be happier with Raphael Warnock?
So if we go ahead,
I don't think that's the issue, Heather. I don't think that's the issue.
That's not
Amy,
the issue, Heather. You're missing it. Listen to what the Georgia voters are saying. Donald Trump is out there fighting for himself. We do not hear the Republicans, whether it's the GOP, the Republicans in Georgia, or the ones in Washington. We do not. They are silent, and we hear crickets from them.
Amy, what would it take? What would it take for Amy and for Ann in Dublin and these other callers that we've had throughout the day in Lawrenceville, South Georgia, whatever, Roswell? What would it take for Amy to say, "Okay, I'm in. I'm going to fight for these candidates on January 5th"? What would it take?
I want to see the gentleman on your call today. I want to see them pushing for a recall immediately, Brad and inmate Kemp. Number one, I want to see that should have started several weeks ago. If they've been hearing from their constituencies, then they should know how we feel. And I want to see some concerted effort about people trying to stop us focusing on January the 5th, and let's focus on now.
Amy, thank you. Thank you for that feedback.
But didn't David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler call for him to resign anyway?
They did. They called for him to resign.
I mean, what more can they do after that if he doesn't step down?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is them, and part of it is, look, I'm in the business of listening to my callers, right? So unlike everybody at this table, this is the business I'm in, right? So I take calls every day. I've been doing it for a 10-year period. The reason why that I predicted Trump would be the nominee in April of 2015 is because my callers were done with the Republican Party. They were done with it, okay? And I got it every single day. And I called Trump up and I said, you run, you will win New Hampshire, and you will be the nominee, because people were done with it. You listen to callers. These are the activists. They will tell you what to do, right? And Amy and Ann, they're telling you what to do. Amy, thank you. Let's get to Marie in Boston, Massachusetts. Line 3. Marie, you've been very patient. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Marie.
Hello? Yeah, hi.
Hi, Marie, you're live.
I'm just calling about one of your guests said, God forbid we shouldn't never go back to paper ballots. I say, why not? When he says that there's fraud in paper ballots, I don't know what he's talking about. Canada just had an election. They're still using paper ballots. I have cousins there. There's a each party has a representative. Each party looked at every ballot and agreed on it, or they questioned it. And they were wearing masks. How's there more fraud? And the other thing is, with yesterday, if you heard Michigan testimony, there were witnesses that said that the Internet was plugged into some of these machines. They found a huge industrial router that was connected to several voting machines. I mean, when you have computers involved, it's just the potential for fraud is there, and I don't see how anyone can say that paper ballots have the potential for more fraud than computers.
Marie in Boston, thank you. Let's give that to the person who said it, Representative Matthew Gambill.
Look, I think you could apply that to any area where technology has been utilized in our society. And yes, we know that there are constantly issues that we see play out, whether it's security breaches or data breaches or whatnot. I'm just not convinced that going back to a paper and pencil is the solution to any of this. I think that the things that we have to ensure is the systems that we use are secure and the protocols are in place to ensure for that. That's what we're in the middle of trying to figure out right now and address these issues that have arisen from the Dominion machines and look into that. But at no point would I say let's be like Canada. No offense to the Canadians, but I'm just not interested in doing what Canada does and having a paper and pencil ballot.
All right. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marie in Boston. Line 2, let's get to Clint in Marietta, Georgia. Clint, you're live. Go ahead, Clint in Marietta. Go ahead, Clint. You're live.
Hey, John. I'm a first-time caller.
Thank you.
New listener as well. I definitely appreciate what guys like you and Steve Bannon are doing. I guess my question, and I'm kind of echoing a lot of what the other callers are calling up. I'm here in Marietta. I've been a lifelong Republican, voting for the last 12 years Republican down ballot and everything else. And then this last election, it just really set a bad taste in my mouth. So. I was listening to the last lady that called up, and she made a good point. Well, why should we go back to vote, go out and support all these senators and vote again if it's under the pretense that these machines and the voting system and everything else is rigged? My vote. I don't feel like my vote counts either. And what's to say it does? There is no verification. So what are we doing to change that? And that's just kind of where I stand. That's where a lot of my friends and family stand too. We spent the last 4 years, like you mentioned, fighting for this president, and here we are today. We're trying to continue to fight, but it's just we don't feel the support reciprocated. So that's really all I wanted to say, and I'll hang up and listen to your guys' comments. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Clint. Senator Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, John. And thank you to this caller. I have a piece of Cobb County. So, Cobb County used to be diehard red, and it has changed over a period of time. And so we need people like you. I want to make sure, and I keep saying this, and sometimes maybe we're just in an echo chamber. Matthew and I are two of those individuals fighting tooth and nail. Are you seeing us on CNN? No. Are you seeing us on WSB? Yeah, Eric has me on the show. But I'm not going to spend most of my time just talking rhetoric. I think that's what's got the Republican Party in trouble, is doing a lot of talking and a lot less with our hands and feet of doing things. Are we looking at the Dominion machines? Yes. Do I have a background in forensic? Yes. Have I had international cyber individuals in my office in Cartersville in the last 10 days? Yes. Do these people paramilitary individuals that have looked at the Dominion machines? Yes. There is action going on. I'm not going to go print out who these individuals are and put this out there for fear of their lives, because we are fighting a battle. What we need to understand is it's a dual threat. While we're doing what you elected us to do, actually you didn't elect us to do that. You elected us to represent you in our respected districts, right? Not on a statewide. But Matthew and I are willing to do this for the state because we love this state and we love Trump. We voted for Trump. Now, that being said, those individuals that seem to be smart on your phone, John, they need to step back and hear what they're saying. If you choose not to go out and vote, and you choose to let Warnock and Ossoff take over the Senate, what in the HELL do you think Trump's going to be able to do if we keep him in office? He can't do everything by executive order. They'll go after the taxes. They will go after so many different things that have been done. If you're a pro-lifer, forget that. If you hated them giving away free phones, what in the hell do you think they're going to do when they raise taxes on all of us that are working class so that people can sit at home and draw $900 unemployment? You can't honestly, as a Republican, or I'll say a conservative, say I'm going to rebel and not vote to preserve the Senate in the effort to say that's how I'm going to let you know that I'm irritated at what's happened. We're just as irritated, or maybe even more, because I've had to put my life on hold with young kids and my daughter in college and Christmas and businesses. Yes, I'll do that.
So rather than get mad at your constituents, which you're doing, I mean that's really what you're doing. You just get mad at them. Why not? Why
my
not
constituents,
do it?
Respectfully, John, live in District 14.
Okay, there's somebody's constituent, right?
That's
the
true.
Gentleman
That's
from
true.
Marietta is a constituent.
That'd be
of
Lindsay.
someone.
That'd be Lindsay Tippins.
Well, right now, they're constituents of Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue.
I agree with that.
Every
Yes.
Georgia caller is a constituent of the two people that you want them to go bust their butt and vote for. And what they're saying to you is, here's what you have to do in order to motivate me, and instead you're getting mad at them. I don't get that, and I love you to death, man.
John.
I don't get that. I don't get that. I mean, why not just take what they're saying and try to respond to it?
Because that's what's got the Republican Party, is me just taking it, not helping them understand. We are doing that, but I need them to be just as passionate to convince their neighbor to go out and vote.
Well, you just by saying it, you can't do it. You have to show action. I think that's what they're asking for.
Okay.
All right, I got 2 more minutes. 3 actually. Let's get to David in North Carolina, not a constituent of David Perdue or Kelly Loeffler, but a constituent of the country. David in North Carolina, you're live. Line 1.
Yes, sir. Good to talk to you today, sir. But like I said, I'm from North Carolina. But those 2 Senate seats, that's a national deal. That affects my children. And I'm upset at what happened in Georgia to Trump and all over this country. Investigate it, find out, send people to prison that need to go to prison, because I seriously believe something foul went on. But the life of this republic is basically hanging on those 2 Senate seats right now.
Yep.
If we get Trump in and we lose those seats, they're going to impeach him on something. I mean, it's just going to be a deadly mess.
Hello.
There you go.
You're right, David. You're right. Absolutely. All right, thank you. David, final call. Let's get to David's here 100% right. They win those seats. The Republicans, we know it's over. My concern is right now, if we don't change something, they are going to win. Let's get to Lori in Tennessee, line 1. Lori, you're our last call for the day. You're live.
Awesome. I listen to you every morning. I just wanted to
Lori,
say,
how about those Titans?
Hey.
Lori?
I'll watch them. Can you hear me?
Yes, but Lori, how about those Titans? Aren't you fired up?
I'm fired up, but I'm more fired up
There you-
about this race.
All right,
Okay. He made a comment and said, "What are we doing?" Immediately after the election, I went to Pennsylvania. Like, I got on a plane, went against my thoughts about the mask and wore the mask, went to Pennsylvania, and I marched. I went to D.C. the weekend after that, and I marched. I went to Atlanta last weekend, and I marched. I'm back in Atlanta tomorrow for 3 days. I'm fighting. And I'll tell you why people are saying that they're not going to show up. It's because Democrats and Republicans are one and the same. They didn't care about us. They just cared about their greed and their power. But when Trump came along, he changed that. And he tried to give the power back to the people. And that's why people aren't wanting to show up. It's because it doesn't matter if Kelly gets in or if the Democrat gets in. It's one and the same. They're going to do the same old good old boys network. And Kelly doesn't want an audit because she knows she didn't win. And that's what I've got to say about that.
Lori, you're our last caller for the day. I want to thank you.